Horsham Bank Robbery, February 1840. It was February 1840, and Mr William Augustus Raper was the managing clerk of the West Street Horsham branch of the Henty, Upperton and Olliver Bank. At the time he was living in a garret, which is a habitable attic in the house, and adjoining this was a dark closet which was used as a lumber room. His wife Catherine and daughter also lived on the premises. On Friday evening, on the 7th of February, Mr Raper locked up the bank as usual, and on retiring to rest, placed the set of keys in their customary place under his pillow on his bed. The following morning, at about 6 o'clock, the Raper's servant, Harriet Morgan, was surprised to find all of the doors on the ground floor open, and in the kitchen there were several bottles on the table showing signs that one or more people had enjoyed wine, bacon, pudding, bread and cheese. She immediately ran up to her master, whereupon he looked for the keys under his pillow, but they were gone. An alarm was given and an officer called in and the premises searched. It appears that the thieves, whoever they might have been, had chosen to only take the coins of the realm, leaving all notes to the value of £7,000 to £8,000. Missing from the safe was £457 10 in gold and £176 14 and 10 in silver, altogether £634 4 and 10. In terms of how the robbers had got the key, there appeared to have been a hole made through the lath and plaster partition which divided Mr Raper's apartment from the lumber room, the hole being just behind the head of Raper's bed. Opposite the hole, a piece had been cut out of the headboard, which was large enough to put a hand through and grab the keys from under the pillow. Sergeant Otway of the A Division had been sent down from London and made a thorough inspection of the premises, but he did not have any clue as to who the thief might be. Following communication with the local magistrates by the owners of the bank, a full inquiry was held at the King's Head Hotel in Horsham. On the bench were seated R.H. Hurst, Esquire, who was the chairman, Robert Aldridge, Esquire, James Broadwood, Esquire, Nathaniel Barwell, Esquire, Mark Pringle, Esquire, and Major Beauclerk. The partners of the bank were present, and Mr Bush of Bush and Masters, solicitors to the Society of Bankers. Mr Raper said that at about 6 o'clock on the morning of 8th of February he was called by his servant Harriet Morgan, who said that she had found a ham bone and empty wine bottles on the kitchen table. He told Miss Morgan that he would be down shortly with the key. He went to get his keys from a leather bag which he kept under his pillow and found them gone. At that moment Miss Morgan burst into the room and exclaimed, "The bank is broken into." Raper found that the passage door leading to the bank was open and the other doors of the bank also open. He found the lock of the sliding panels which closed the front of the iron safe cut out and the safe exposed. The lock with the key in it was hanging from the top of one of the panels. This key was always kept in the pocket of his trousers, and it must have been taken from there the night before. There was a box missing from the safe, which was later found in the garden. All of the coins had been taken, but far more value of notes was left. On the kitchen table, he found 3 empty bottles. 2 had contained Marsala wine and 1 port wine. There was also a bottle containing half a pint of brandy. These must have been taken from a previously unopened hamper that was in the cellar. He thought the ham and bread were from the contents of the kitchen. Raper said that he went to bed at about 10:30 the previous evening, leaving Mrs. Raper still up. He had previously locked all of the doors of the bank. He stated that he did not hear any unusual noises that night. Raper stated of Harriet Morgan, "With respect to the character of my servant, Harriet Morgan, I can have no hesitation in saying that I have always found her faithful and honest. She has repeatedly been left in sole care of the house." He concluded by stating that there are sufficient obstacles in the way to prevent anyone entering the cellar of the house from the street, and even if a person succeeded in doing that, he must, to obtain admittance to the upper part of the house, burst open several doors. On searching the cellar and outhouses, he supposed that the thief or thieves must have been concealed about the premises for some days prior to the robbery. A day or two before the robbery, he had 1,200 sovereigns or more in the bank, but for accommodation purposes had let another bank look after them. Statement by Harriet Morgan, the servant. Harriet Morgan was 20 years of age and had been with the Rapers for about 12 months. She said that Mr. Raper had only recently occupied the room from where the keys were taken, and that he slept alone. When she was cleaning the room, she had discovered the hole in the wall at the head of the bed and went into the lumber room to examine it more thoroughly. A book which she discovered attracted her attention, which she picked up, and she proceeded no further with her investigation. She was naturally of a timid disposition, and although she had thought it strange that a hole should have been made in the wall, she decided not to tell her mistress of it. She was aware that the family knew of her timidity, and she had been laughed at before when she told them things, so in this instance she decided not to say anything. When she discovered the hole in the plaster, she did not notice a hole in the headboard of the bed, and she swears that it was perfectly sound on Friday at midday. The week before the robbery, she could not recollect the master having a single visitor, and she was sure that no one apart from the family had slept in the house during that week. On examining the kitchen, she found the corkscrew had been taken to open the wine bottles. After the robbery, she stated that we could not open the door in front of the cellar. The lock was forced and the key dropped on the floor on the inside of the cellar. Other statements. William Stapleton, clerk to Mr. Padwick, a solicitor at Horsham, stated that he saw a light in the part of the house appropriated as the bank at a few minutes before midnight on Friday the 7th. He saw it at the fanlight of the bank door. He said he heard the clock strike 12 when he reached home, which is on the same street. William Coppard Gower, constable of Horsham, stated that on Saturday morning, 8th of February, at about 2 o'clock, when he was doing his rounds and passing the bank, he saw a faint light through the fanlight. The circumstance did not attract his more immediate attention, as Mr. Raper sometimes sat up very late at his accounts. Soon after 6 the same morning, he was informed that the bank had been robbed, and he immediately went and made an inspection of the premises. He found that the lock of the sliding doors had been cut out and the iron safe exposed. The chisel was lying near it. It was not the one that had been used. The lock had been cut out with a sharp knife. He stated that an old thief would never have thought of cutting out a lock. The oak box found in the garden had been broken open by the chisel, and it seemed without much noise. There were no marks on any of the doors. The hole in the lumber room had been stopped with green baize and things placed to hide it. He found a piece of wood on the floor, which he said fitted into the hole in the headboard of the bed. There was also a finger hole in the piece of wood. It was not possible to reach under the pillow by putting an arm through the hole in the wall around the bedpost. No traces of footsteps were found in the garden, but there were appearances which led to the supposition that someone had lain concealed for several days in an old stable used as a woodhouse. The servant and Mrs. Raper had said that there was bread and meat missing from the pantry a few days before the robbery. Mrs. Raper stated that she was last up on Friday night and had seen all the doors fastened, and she had retired to rest a little after 11 o'clock. Miss Raper, her daughter, said that on Thursday night she had heard a noise like footsteps, but the wind was very high that night. Mr. Bush addressed the bench in conclusion, to the effect that his duty had now been done. He had called every person who had slept in the house or was known to have been near it on the night of the robbery. No one was directly accused of being concerned in the robbery. They did not feel they could take any further steps in the matter. The course of the discussions had taken about 7 hours. The servant, Harriet Morgan, was originally arrested, but was discharged on the same day, and since then no one has been apprehended, and the case remains a mystery.